know, it's supposed to be one of the happiest moments of your life, but just 4 weeks after giving birth, Capital Radio presenter Aimee Vivian found herself facing a horrific health battle.
After developing mastitis while breastfeeding, Aimee was left fighting for her life when the infection turned into deadly sepsis.
Hoping to help other new mums spot the warning signs, Aimee is joining us now to share her story alongside Dr Zoe. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, first of all, let's start off. How was the pregnancy? How was the birth of beautiful Charli?
Oh, I mean, that was amazing.
Was it?
Yeah.
Literally celestial angels singing.
I mean, not quite that good. I got flu a few months in, but, you know, as good as it could be. And the birth was brilliant. I had two amazing midwives, Chloe and Jasmine, stayed with me the whole pregnancy, came to my C-section with me, and it was amazing. We had the playlist going.
Yeah.
We were making jokes with the surgeon. It was lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely experience.
And then after Charli was born, did everything kind of go to plan, or what happened after she was born?
Well, can I be honest? I didn't know what a plan was because I was a new mum. So I was like,
right.
I met lack of sleep, sleep deprivation, but so far was okay.
Right.
I did have a massive oversupply of milk from day one.
Right.
But again, new mum, didn't really know if that was a problem or not. No one really said that it could be a problem, and we were just carrying about our business.
Yeah.
So when did you work out, Aimee, that things were sort of not quite as they probably should have been, albeit with you not really understanding what it should be like?
Well, about 3 weeks in, I started to feel unwell, and my boobs were so engorged. They were like rocks, rock solid. And I was getting a bit headachy, and I thought, this isn't right. Went online. That was the first time I'd ever seen the word mastitis. Nobody had mentioned it to me. Nobody had actually told me how serious it can be if your boobs are constantly engorged. And that was when I thought, something doesn't feel right here. But being a new mum, I think a lot of us are with our own health, we go, we'll be fine. It's probably just overtiredness. It's probably meant to happen. And that's really where it all started.
But there were also other factors as well. So you were producing a lot of milk, which obviously then you have to pump as well to try and keep everything moving.
Yeah.
And then Charli was tongue-tied as well. So she probably wasn't feeding as economically as she should have been.
Yeah, exactly. So she's not getting what she needed, and she was becoming distressed every time we tried to put her on the breast.
Traumatic.
Traumatic for her, traumatic for me. What do you do? So you try and pump to relieve it, to make it better. At least she's getting fed that way. She's still getting the breast milk. She's still getting the nutrients. That's what's running through my brain, thinking, as long as she gets it some way, that's the most important thing. But she just could not latch at all.
And even after she'd had the tongue-tie procedure?
So after the tongue-tie, unfortunately, it was 2 days before I went back into the hospital. So we didn't really even get the opportunity
to see.
No.
At this point, though, you're starting to really, really struggle. I mean, how bad was the pain? And I assume you spoke to your doctor, you spoke to your GP.
Yeah, so I left it a couple of days, but I thought, no, this is when I really need to go. The pain was getting worse and worse. My boobs were red, they were sore, I was headachy, cold. And I went to the GP, and I then knew what mastitis was, and I said, I am pretty sure I've got it. And because Charli had a tongue-tie and because there were other factors, she was adamant that it wasn't that, it was just a case of simple engorgement, need to put the baby on the breast.
Right.
That's all you can do. And so I know myself so well, I know my body, I've got celiac disease, I've battled with my tummy problems for years. So I knew to fight, I was like, I'm convinced it's this. Please give me antibiotics. She did, reluctantly, but caveated it with, please do not take these unless you don't start to get better in 2 days' time.
Why did she not want you to take them?
I think... No, I'm not even going to say I think, because I don't know.
No.
Because I guess because there's probably a myriad of other symptoms that I was experiencing that she wasn't sure that it was mastitis.
So she was just being uber cautious?
Yeah.
So I mean, what's likely is there's mastitis that's not infectious. So it's because the milk's got trapped because there's milk ducts that are blocked. So the milk's leaking out into the tissue, and that causes an inflammatory reaction, which is very similar to an infection, that redness, that tenderness, but there's actually no bacteria, there's no infection. So antibiotics won't help, and of course we shouldn't be over-prescribing antibiotics. But of course, sometimes there is infection there, especially if infections manage to get in through the nipple or if mastitis that's not infectious has been left for several days, it can turn infectious. So we don't always give antibiotics for mastitis. It's that making a decision and an assessment as to what we think the chances are of them being.
We did reach out to the GP to ask for comment, but they didn't get back to us. So that bit aside, things turned quite dramatically, though, didn't they?
Yeah, so carried on about my business. I think that was the Thursday I went to see the GP, and it was the Saturday night, Sunday morning, that was when I went, this is not OK. I woke up and I was physically convulsing in bed. Got in the shower, I felt so cold, could not warm up. My breasts felt so hard and sore. They literally felt like they were going to explode. I had to get my husband to help me relieve the pressure. And we saw that there was pus in the milk, basically. And that was when something in my brain went, this is not normal.
Yeah.
This is now not OK. And so for some reason, something in that moment made me go, I'm going to go on Instagram. I'm going to put a message on my stories and say, does anyone on here follow me that's a doctor or a nurse? Is this normal? And this amazing woman, Kerry, who I now pretty much owe my life to, my goodness, she was amazing. She messaged me, and I'd seen her 2 weeks previously. She checked my C-section scar. And she messaged me and she said, Aimee, you need to get down to ADAU now. Need to be seen. That's the emergency triage for maternity. And I was 2 days off not being able to access that.
Because you can have 4 weeks, isn't it, post?
So that's what we did. Went down there, not expecting to be admitted at all, thinking they were just going to go, you just need some stronger antibiotics. Sent my husband Steve off to a family barbecue, said, see you in a few hours. And then had to call him and say, oh, yeah, I'm being admitted, it's actually quite serious.
And so serious,
just shock, pure shock.
But it was not just the mastitis, it was now sepsis.
Yeah. The infection markers were just so high. But I think sometimes with sepsis, what I've learned is it can take a while to come on, but it's so literally every minute counts, which is what's interesting. You need to get there and be treated soon to get those antibiotics in you. And I think within 2 hours, I was on the ward, hooked up to a drip.
I think that we had Sam Vanderpump on yesterday who had sepsis as well. And I think it's because there are so many different signs of it, but the signs could just be flu as well. It's difficult to spot, isn't it?
It's really difficult to spot sepsis, and you're absolutely right. Once that process starts, and there's always an infection that triggers it, but sepsis is actually when your immune system's responding to the infection, it kind of goes into overdrive to the point where it starts damaging your own body and your own organs. And once that starts, within hours, you know, people can be critical. So, yeah, you were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody sitting at home that's just had a new baby, is there anything that they can do to prevent it? And what should be the signs, Zoe, where you go, actually, I really need to sort this out? Because so many people are exactly like you. I was exactly the same the first time I had a baby. You just don't know. You've got nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, I have quite strong feelings about how women are when they've just had a baby. So I'll come on to that in a second.
Go.
But yeah, in order to prevent this, so it is quite common, probably more than 1 in 10 women in those first few weeks will get mastitis. The two things you need to think about is you're trying to prevent milk building up, because that's what's causing it, and also take care of the nipple, prevent nipple trauma, which I know is easier sometimes said than done when you're breastfeeding. Those are the two things to think about. So when a baby's newborn, they should be feeding between 8 to 12 times a day. It's a lot, but do, you know, feed on demand so that you're emptying. Try and feed from one side till you feel like it's emptied before you move to the other side. Obviously, things like good hygiene as well. But one of the key things is if you start to get, as soon as you start to get those symptoms of the hardness, the tenderness, then you put into action the self-care measures straight away. So that is making sure that you're emptying the breast. If you need to express some milk, do so. Using warm compresses, because that can help to alleviate and open things up a little bit and help with the letdown. And analgesia, you know, paracetamol. You can take ibuprofen as well when you're breastfeeding. The thing I wanted to say about, I feel like women in this period when they've had a baby, I mean, we shouldn't really be able to cope, should we, or survive? And I know a lot of the time people don't cope, but you've just been through a major physical trauma, you're not sleeping, you're not well nourished, you're not well hydrated often, you're prioritising this other little being. And I feel like women have this incredible resilience at this time in their life where they can be literally any other time in their life would feel like they're dying, and they just keep soldiering on and soldiering on. So why, as a doctor, always think if I see a woman who's recently had a baby and she's telling me she's sick, you've got to take it really, really seriously. And, you know, if that's your loved one or someone you care about, or you are the woman, and you feel that, you know, you have that instinctive feeling, I know my body and I know I'm not right, It's really important that if you have to advocate for yourself and say, I want to see somebody else, or go to A&E.
100%.
And you did advocate for yourself, and yet I mean, you know, you battled really hard. Thank goodness you got to A&E, and thank goodness for your friend online. How long was it before you started feeling better?
I was in hospital 4 days, went home. Physically, I mean, I think it takes a year for the immune system to fully recover from the actual sepsis. Mentally, obviously, you're dealing with the fact, I mean, there was a day where one night when I was in there, I literally looked this midwife in the eye because I was like, I've got a baby at home. Do not let me die tonight. Like, let me go home because I want to look after her. Because that is how it makes you feel. You do feel like you're going to die. But, you know, we're back, and we're back on the radio, which is so good now. And each day getting and feeling a lot stronger. And I did advocate for myself, and I think that's why I'm sharing this story, because I think you're right, as women, I think we are so often so quick to dismiss how we feel and our symptoms and all of that. And actually, we should advocate for ourselves more, and we should put ourselves out there. And if you're not happy, you can get a second opinion. And especially when you're so vulnerable after having a baby, if I can use my platform and come on here and be able to share this, yes, it's not a nice story, but if it can help one person, that is the goal. That is the whole goal. Or just to prevent people
happening in the first place as well.
Exactly, because if you know the symptoms, like you say, especially when they're covered with flu, I could have sat at home that day on Sunday, which I would have probably done if Kerry hadn't told me to go.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.